I'd rather be with you. Yeah.
Can we see your setup?
Yeah. So you'll see there's everything you need. There's the guitar.
Yes.
There's a lot of people, by the way, if people have tricks to learn guitar, I'd be happy to have some, because I'm
So
back
cool.
at learning guitar. The
So
bike.
you started just recently?
Kind of. Yeah. Lockdown has been a good opportunity for me to get back at it and really, really train. So now I even have that gadget to muscle the fingers.
What is this for?
It's I don't know what you call it. I don't even know the name in French, but you'll use it to train your fingers.
To muscle your fingers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a finger muscle.
Wow.
Muscle. Yep. So pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm trying to make the most out of this time. Organizing tons of events online, trying to make it relevant for our community of founders, but also as well for the large community of the family and all the people who are entrepreneurs and launching right now. So it's going well. I mean, we started Good Vibes Radio, but a lot of events like Be My Co-Founder, to find a co-founder with a giant matchmaking. On Friday, we're doing a fundraising summit, fundraising in challenging times, with amazing guests like Fred Destin from Stride, people from Alven. They're going to say what they do actually right now, if they bet or not on the startup. And we're going to talk as well of alternatives to find to raise funds, because there are other ways. Anyway, cool. and every night at 6 we do some war rooms for our entrepreneurs dedicated to the crisis, because crisis management, etc. How do you feel? So it's sunny day. You're having a conversation with Alice now.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell me, Robin, what is HireSuite all about? Your company.
So HireSuite, the one-liner, the easy pitch is that we help startups hire software engineers. And the way we do this is we automate the search and outreach to passive candidates. So that's basically automating the recruiting agency, so that companies and startups can do the job of the recruiting agency at a fraction of a cost and way more efficiently.
So basically, I'm looking for someone. I go on HireSuite. I search for this person, and you're gonna scrap.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a software engineer, you can post job postings and everywhere on LinkedIn, etc. But you'll get nobody to apply, because people are not actively looking. So what we do is we talk with you, we define exactly who you're looking for, and then we help you reach out.
We talk together.
We talk together. Okay. Yeah, it's not fully automated. We spend some time with you. We have a full team of account strategists. That's Lamia, Lorraine, and Yanis talking to the users and defining the job search. And then we'll show you a list of the 10 most relevant people every day to reach out to, and you can reach out to them using the software. So basically, you're talking directly to the candidates. They didn't apply to HireSuite, just based on all the public information that we find. And yeah, you can get pretty good conversations. The response rate is about 40%. So 40% of people reply, engage in a conversation. And companies are happy. And we work mostly with startups.
Okay. And in case I hire this person, I owe you?
Yeah. In case you hire someone, you'll owe us a contingency fee. That's 15%.
Okay.
That's about 40% less than a recruiting agency.
How old are you?
Me personally, or the company?
You.
Personally, I have to compute every time, but I think I'm 28.
You're 28. Is this your first company, or you've started something before?
This is my second company. In a way, we worked for about 2 years on a product that was called Jouger in 2014, and I was a marketplace for service, but it never really took off. So I wouldn't know if that was more a student project or a company, but a mix of both.
Okay, so right after school, what did you study?
At HSC.
Okay.
HEC Paris. Yeah.
Okay, business. So you studied business, and right after school, you started your own startup.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we actually met in school with Ismail and Paul, my two co-founders.
The two co-founders
So
of Hire Suite.
yeah, at Harry Sweet. So while in school during my second year, I took a second gap year. So that this is getting a bit technical, but I took a second gap year to create a first company.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my last year of school, I met with Ismail and you, Paul, for a while already. We played rugby together. And so we started working on what was to become Hire Suite in 2016, still in school.
Okay, cool. And so, I mean, do you come from any entrepreneurial background? Like, are your parents business people?
Well, my mother is a teacher, and my father is an entrepreneur in the real estate.
Okay.
So he did several things. He had a moving company at some point when I was young. So I grew up between the
kind
tracks.
of entrepreneurship?
So what do you mean?
Your daddy?
Yeah. So the first company he created was that moving company.
Moving company.
Helping people move with trucks, everything. And now he's in the real estate. So that's
traditional kind of business.
Yeah, definitely not the startup way.
Mm-hmm. So you knew since you were young that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, or it wasn't something that?
When I was young, I wanted to be either an engineer in the aerospace. I don't know how I got that idea, or an inventor, like invent things. So when I was a kid, I thought that was an actual job. Never found out a way to do it full time, but I think entrepreneurship is the closest to this, like building rocket ships in a way and inventing new things. So in a way, I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but this is where I found these two traits. So
tell me about the very beginning. Before going to the very beginning, maybe let's have a snapshot of Hire Suite today. Like how many people are you have you helped being recruited? What do you follow as a KPI?
Yeah. And there's a question from Greg also. How do you see the recruitment business once the lockdown is over? Interesting question. So the quick snapshot of the company, we're about 30 people today. We work with 900 companies in the world. So we have customers in France, in Spain, a few customers in the UK, much more customers in the United States, Canada, and one company in Mexico as well. So we are pretty global. And the KPI that we are monitoring is the overall activity of the customer, the revenue, obviously. And so, the numbers, every year there's about 1,000 interviews every month, probably 1,000 interviews that are booked with Hire Suite, between 500 and 1,000.
Okay.
And again, we work with 900 companies.
Okay. So mainly, most of your candidates, you were telling me right now, are based in France. So no. Well, let's be clear. You have two products.
Yep. That's the
thing.
The thing is that we actually have two products. So the first product our core product is we automate the search, and we help companies find people based with all the public information, and we don't need people to apply. And that's why we're able to serve companies in the US, or we even have people looking for talent in Eastern Europe. So we don't even need a presence there. And then there's the second product, one that we work with the family, by the way.
So if you go to a special product together.
Exactly. That's why. But that's only in France for now. So if you go to the family and in the job section, so I think it's
not
the family.co,
because I've changed the website of the family right now. It's a crisis website, really dedicated to crisis. But we will be we will find.
Well, anyway, there was a website, so you could go to jobs.thefamily.co and apply as a candidate, and then we would introduce you to lots of the family startups and also startups overall. So not only the family, but people in that scope. And this is a different model that we call Hire Suite Watch, where you can watch the market and watch people that are moving. So we are, you can actually go, if you want to see what it looks like, there's a hiresuite.com/talent, I think, /talents with an S. So we also have our own inbound. We also have partnerships with other communities like Lyon from the family as well. And so basically here people can apply and we'll help them find a job in one of our portfolio companies. But that's only a product working in France at the moment. And that's about 20% of our activity. Most of the activity is on the search product.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes total sense. Cool. So how is it going? Was asking Greg regarding the recruitment business right now.
That's a great question. So when we heard about lockdown at first, we thought that the world was coming to an end, that we would face 3 months of zero revenue and everybody stopping hiring. What we realized, it obviously depends on the geography. So in France, we still have about 60% of our companies still active on HireSuite. So that's not bad. Can't complain. Still have about 30% of our revenue. In the US, it's much worse. It's about 10 to 20%. So how do you see the recruitment business during lockdown? Seems that a few companies are still hiring. Actually, probably most of the startups that we work with, I don't know how that represent the entire market, but a lot of companies are still hiring. And we launched something last week. So we were very surprised of this. And we realized that a lot of companies were still hiring and people were on the opposite side, leaving their jobs or being put in chômage partiel or difficult situations. So we wanted to broadcast the list of companies that were still hiring. So we did a post on this on LinkedIn. If you want to check my LinkedIn profile, we have a list of all the companies that are still hiring. And then we merged that with French Digital yesterday that had a similar list. So we sent them all the leads. So Greg, if you want to see the companies that are still hiring, you can go to my LinkedIn, or there is a thing on France Digital in France. But yeah, sure, it's slowing down. All the interview processes are over Zoom, so people took a few weeks to adjust to that. But now it seems to be starting again. And how do I see the recruitment business once the lockdown is over? There are two questions here. How will the economy look like when the lockdown is over, and when will the lockdown be over? It's difficult to say. I'm used to not give predictions because I don't have a very good hit rate on those predictions. So I would say it will probably be starting again real slow, and then get back to the first the original level. But again, we're doing mostly software engineers, and people are always hiring software engineers, and companies also find this is a good opportunity. So if you look at all the retailers in France, they all moved their business to online. So Carrefour, Auchan, etc. They all moved their business to online. So now the marketplace is a huge challenge. So I will keep on hiring software engineers more than anything else, even though they are they're probably freezing all their hires. So software engineers is probably less impacted than sales, marketing, and stuff.
So right now there are a lot of opportunities, even if it's changing like very quickly. But many talented teams are free, yeah, and can join startups and needs who are still recruiting. And it's a matter of how to make this match work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've spotted the startup that are firing people as well, to see who was free?
So we didn't do that, but France Digital did. Okay. So if you're looking for a job, you can go to France Digital and enroll to their database. But we didn't do that because we have our own service for candidates. So if somebody is looking, they can go to hiresuites.com/talent and we'll help them there. So it wouldn't really make sense for us to showcase that database to everyone, because we're doing very specific one-on-one intros and very
Yeah.
So we are doing this, but it's not public.
Okay. So tell me about the other co-founders. Who are they? How did you connect it, and why did it all started this high venture?
So we are 3 co-founders. There's Paul Bachelier and Ismail Belghiti. Paul, it's been a long time love story. We played rugby together for a few years before we kind of wanted to work on a project together, and that's how we got started. There was this track at HEC last year with École School 42, École 42 in Paris, and we wanted to be part of this. So we first working on the project together, and then the original project was to assess software engineers, but based on the public information. So you could use GitHub to detect whether somebody was a good software engineer or not. And then I met with Ismail, who was actually in my class again at HEC, but he went from an engineering background. He had a very good expertise in doing competitive programming. So he did the International Olympiads in Informatics. I didn't know there was such a thing, but very specific area where people compete on programs and and stuff. And then he was coach for the French team, so he had a very, very specific expertise. And so I told him that we had this assessment project for software engineers based on the public information. He basically told me, well, I've been doing assessment for 10 years, so count me in. I want to be part of the project. And then we got started working on this together. We had a first product that was based on Ismail's expertise, tests that companies could send to engineers when they wanted to hire them. Mm-hmm. So we really quickly had a first test. We started selling it to companies. There was still a few things that need to be done on the back end. So the first test that somebody ever took, Ismail had to be live behind the test to correct the answers.
To be the teacher.
And then I would have to send the report myself that I would have done in PowerPoint or something like this. But the most of the feedback from companies was that they didn't struggle assessing engineers. They struggle finding candidates. They didn't have enough people. So they would say, I'd be happy to pay for your test. This test is good, but I don't have candidates. So how do we do? No, I will pay you so that you can find the candidates. And then even in the end, I won't even use your test, but I'll pay you anyway because my problem is to find people. So we got pulled into that thing. We talked to a lot. We always spend a lot of time with our users, understanding their needs. That's one of the main learnings that we had, is spend time with your users, understand their needs. And we interviewed probably 100, 200 companies, spent a lot of time with them, and got started on a project with eFounders in Paris. That was our first customer, to help them on the sourcing. And then we had a second customer with Gorgeous that did our first hire with us together. And in a few weeks, we did more revenue than during my 2 years at my previous company. We knew there was something, and there was a real word of mouth. People would send the information, starting doing intros, etc. And so we work on this, and we've been working on this for 4 years, and we're still probably 1% through everything we want to do, but we have a pretty robust search. We have a team of data scientists working on this. So we basically, the last 4 years has been mainly refining the first MVP that we had, make sure that we could scale these to companies everywhere in the world.
Cool. Did you raise funds?
Yeah, we raised in 2017 with Global Founders Capital and Kima Ventures and the family, actually.
And so you've been to YC. I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know this story. How was this experience?
Right. So we went to YC, so Y Combinator. I don't know if everybody knows, but that was the first incubator in the world. Basically, the family, but in the US. Acceleration program. Sorry. In the world, and they did Airbnb, they did Dropbox, Segment, Reddit, Front, a lot of great companies. And we went through them in January to March. So that was in SF, basically in Mountain View, but we lived in SF.
Right.
Just recently, get back 3 weeks ago. Yeah. just got back for the first day in lockdown in Paris. So and yeah, we lived in a company in San Francisco. We had, so the thing about Y Combinator is that all the people are very smart, both the partners and the other companies. So you're really into a kind of a process where you talk to partners and other companies every 2 weeks, and you give targets for the next 2 weeks. So you want to be up to the target. So you'll just work as hard as you can for 2 weeks. So we had a pretty nice home in SF, and we just send emails all day long and talk to a lot of users every day, every weekend. So the first thing is that you have a lot of energy doing this, and we squeezed between these 2.5 months, we probably squeezed 1 to 2 years of work. It was awesome. And then you talk, and then every week there are weekly dinners where you see alumni from the YC, and you'll get the guys. So the first one was the 3 co-founders from Airbnb. Then we had the guy from Reddit, Superhuman. So every week, huge companies, and you just realize that you'll like them, and they struggled in the beginning and now are there. So it's very inspiring. And then you're also in SF. So
how many
startups
you were with?
It's 200 startups per batch. It's pretty large. The first batches were 20 startups.
Yeah, 200 startups, and you connected. Really, like you became closer to how many people?
I would say about 10 people. There was a very good community of French startups, very close.
French always nice. With French.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody was speaking English at the dinners, but the French. So that probably is something to solve to one point, but but some guys, very, very nice. And then we talked with a few other companies. Either they were the same stage as us, because we were very late stage compared with the usual YC company. Usually it's teams of 2 to 5 people, most of the companies, and we were already 30 people. So talk to other companies this stage. And what's great is that you can talk to companies based in India, in Israel, in Mexico. That's how we get our Mexican customer. Yeah, really nice. And there's a very nice kind of fellowship.
And so you did you did the demo day during coronavirus?
Yeah, well, so
how was it?
And of YC, the main target of YC, they'll tell you every day about this, is at the end of the YC, there's a demo day where you pitch to 1,000 investors and to basically the whole world. And so I even had a Chrome extension that would give the countdown to the demo day, and tell us demo day is in 53 days. So you would get back at work and send emails. And 2 weeks before demo day, so we felt about the feeling about coronavirus was much more intense, I think, in California than in France. Really early on, so people stopped shaking hands and doing elbow bumps, etc. And 2 weeks before demo day, we had a huge call. So they moved all the events online, same as you now, moved all the events online, and did a huge call telling us that demo day will be moved 1 week before. So the whole countdown thing wouldn't work anymore. And it was 1 week before, and it will be converted to a full online event. Yeah. So it's supposed to be on stage, and you pitch, and there's everybody watching you, and there's this excitation, and people were just people write like deals on the go, and now it's been converting to a full online event. So you'd have one slide, then a short pitch, and people would talk to you. And so we played the game in a way.
You were like on Zoom or something like that, giving a speech?
No, not even. So you would just have that online. No, you don't even give a pitch.
Oh.
There's just one slide, and then the text. And people can, it's a Tinder-like, so investors can like you, and if you like them back, you organize a Zoom. So for 2 weeks, I had between 5 and 7, 8 Zoom calls per day, still on the hours from
investors were like, how did you felt? I mean, how were they? Like, ready to invest? It was last week, right?
It was 3 weeks and 2 weeks ago. So
So 2 weeks ago, how they were?
Yeah. We weren't really raising, so we were just trying to get conversation started, and so I couldn't really say, but people were eager to talk. But also a lot of people said that it wasn't a good time, especially business angels who wanted to onboard a few business angels, and lots of them had lost a lot of money in the stock exchange. So yeah, people. What I felt is that everybody was at home with nothing to do but take Zoom calls, so they would be happy to take the Zoom calls and talk. But then,
don't invest.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of movement. But we have a few batch companies that raised. So Riot, for instance, is one of the best batch companies. They raised with a VC in Paris. So a few companies raised. Difficult to say.
Okay. So how do you feel? Do you feel boosted after this? Like, do you keep some of the YC vibes with you right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we had the thing about YC is that they all just hammered the main things. You stuck it into your head. The first one is build something people want. The second one is talk to your users, and the third one, if I would say, is going to be difficult. There's a high probability of failure, and there's not a lot of glam and sexiness to it. It's just difficult. So keep at it and just work and shut your mouth.
And the example.
So they hammer this every week, every day. Sorry?
The examples all around you are just proofs. I mean, living proofs that it works.
Yeah.
And
we
also
saw the guy from Zapier. Yeah. So the guy from Zapier, and he had raised just a small seed round, and now he has a huge company. Just said, well, we just kept at it, and then build something people want and spend time with our users. Seems easy when they say, but
yeah. So there is Mehdi asking, what do you tell your team to help them navigate the situation? So if we go back now to the actual time and how do you adapt to the crisis? How did it work for you, for your team?
Yeah, and I'll answer Andrew as well. I played 8. And many. So we spend a lot of time communicate with the team. So we have weekly all hands meetings on Zoom. Every day we have a morning meeting at 9 a.m.
Excuse me, during the morning meeting, what do you do?
We say what we did the day before and what we'll do this day.
Okay, that's it.
You're thinking about it as well?
No, because we were doing it, and I was just thinking of how can I improve it, because I feel like because of the situation, people also need to just hang out for hanging out, even for 20 minutes, just to give some vibes, some good energy, and make some. For instance, we had a girl who it was her birthday today. It's Salome, and we were all singing. So obviously, because of internet connection, we were not at all synchronized, but this was fun. And after this morning meeting, I was like, okay, the best moment of this morning meeting was singing. And so I was thinking, like, maybe we should just switch to and assume totally that this moment, this 20 minutes per day, is just about sharing some energy, some courage, etc. And about what you've done and what you do, it's more written, or it's more in little rooms, or it's more, I don't know. So that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Well, we don't sing, but but tell me how that goes. And by the way, is it the Salome that I saw before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, if you'll listen to us, happy birthday, Salome. And so, spend a lot of time with the team, communicate a lot. And then there have been a few initiatives in the team. So I started doing breakfast together on Monday, for instance. Florent led that idea. So, it's mostly communicating a lot, and we are very happy and glad to have a team that's very adaptable and willing, and that went through it without a lot of problem. And we took some time. So again, we have probably minus 40% of activity. So that means everybody has plus 40% of free time, and people are now working on side projects that we had been delaying for a while, creating a lot of value. So the last one, for instance, one of those projects was the list of companies that were still hiring, and we'll launch a few free projects in the next few weeks. So I hope that answers the question, but probably all comes down to communicating a lot, spending a lot of time with the team.
Cool. And so do you, I mean, I always ask this question to everyone, even if I'm not expecting you to have a absolute answer. Okay. Say,
yeah. Tell me, what is that question?
No, it's a simple question. How do you see the world after COVID?
There's different ways to see it. Again, I don't like to do predictions, especially in live with people over the room. Probably, so what I see is some of these will stuck. I think people will change. So we talked about this with this morning with a team. No, everybody has more time. So when we talk to customers that have more time, they feel less. I don't know. They're more available. They can share personal stuff more easily. It might be a way to see that we've been going too far, too fast, and now we realize that when we stuck at home with trouble finding delivery slots on Carrefour, then we're all back basically to our basic needs, and doesn't really. It's not even such a big problem, because the main things that you want to do are easy: is go outside, talk with your friends, etc. So there may be a way that people just get back to these feelings and the word in a way feels more connected, and the other way you could see it is that people just lock down and get back to their, I don't know, nationalities and languages and stuff. So that can be good or bad.
Well, yeah.
And then there's a third way that, sorry?
Both are true. Fragmentation,
yeah.
I mean, protectionism, nationalism for sure, and the other way, being much more connected than ever, valuing the real work of the people, the delivery jobs, and the caregivers, the healthcare system, etc., etc. Both are true, and the third way, which would be
the third way, which is, if I had to make a bet, that would probably it's that in 12 months everything goes back to normal, and there's we just forget about this, change a bit the hygiene rules in the airports, and just get back to working ourselves and also living. So I think that the living craze will take over, and we've seen communities react to this kind of very traumatic events and just get back to work as usual and get back to it, because that's what you do, right? You live, so you work, you go outside, you spend time with your friends, and you don't want to think too much about it. So that's what we've seen in the in New York after 9/11, for instance. There's a traumatic event, and in the end, people leave even more because of this. So there's a good chance we'll just get back.
But it's different, because 9/11, I mean, September 11, it was like you've been attacked by an enemy, and so you have to celebrate life in memory of the people who died. But here it's more we've been kind of attacked by our own systems that we've created. So
that's right. Yeah, probably right. So and I'm sure the younger generations already have more environmental conscience that mine, for instance, or even the older community.
Yes, of course.
And I think that's a good thing. And I think a lot of people will just realize that we have to make changes fast. Otherwise, we'll have the coronavirus in 2020 and the new virus in 2026, and then the floods in 2027, and then
Welcome to
etc.
the
etc.
virus era.
Yeah.
There is Guillaume who is
We'll say it
asking,
again.
what is the difference with talent.io, which is a French competitor, not a French, actually, a European competitor, I would say, in recruitment.
Yep. Yeah. So the difference is that the main difference is that talent.io caters to active candidates, people that are actively looking. So they want to go through the sending their resume and going through the whole selection process. And we're catering to the passive candidates. So on paper, especially for software engineers, there are 13% of candidates that are changing jobs because they're active, and 65% that are changing jobs passively. So active candidates usually in software engineers are fresh graduates, younger people, or if you change countries or you get laid off, that's where you want to be proactively looking for a job. Otherwise, if you're happy in your job, and that's most of the engineers, you just don't want to apply somewhere and show that you're actively looking. That can be seen also as a sign of weakness from the companies. And so if companies want to reach you, they have to, well, engage proactively with you. So there's a different relationship. So basically talent.io, you have to apply, and then you're in community, and companies can only have access to active candidates. And Hire Suite, there are very few active candidates, but that's mostly passive candidates. So there's basically different needs.
Are you on?
And we're done, only full time.
Yes, only full time.
Full time. Yeah.
Okay. What's the vision behind Hire Suite? Did you guys changing along the way?
So the way we got started on Hire Suite, told you the story before, is just spending a lot of time with our users and realizing that the hiring industry was an absolute mess. You'll join a company, you have less information about the company you'll be joining than the restaurant that you'll go out tonight. People are not in the best companies they can have. Companies don't have the best talent, and the whole hiring process is a nightmare for everyone. So there's a lot of value to add. So our vision, long-term vision, is to build one unique intelligence that can talk to all companies, all candidates, and be the orchestra, the director of all this symphony, and make sure that the best person talks to the best companies at the best time. And orchestrate this and give a lot of transparency, help create opportunities. So that's the long-term vision. And how we are getting there is basically taking that huge problem and fixing the biggest problem, and then the second biggest problem, and then the third biggest problem. And the biggest problem for now is the headhunting, headhunting, sourcing passive candidates. You'll have to think that there is $1 billion industry of people spending their time on LinkedIn, on GitHub, on Stack Overflow, crunching the data every day, spending their time on this. And that work could be automated so that people focus on writing good emails and creating relationships with the candidates. So that's what we set out to do.
I have a question for you regarding that. Because apart from the hard skills, which are obvious and can be obvious criteria, how do you select? I mean, we know that the recruitment, you need the hard skills to be the good ones, for sure, but the magic never happens if there is not like the soft skills as well that are aligned between the recruiter and the candidate.
Yeah, well, there are huge patterns in the hiring industry. Like people 10 years ago, nobody wanted to work in a startup. Today, everybody wants to work in a startup. 10 years ago, we'll see how it goes. And you'll see those patterns, and you'll see people changing industries. You'll see them moving, and doing that analysis at scale, you're able to detect and to see those patterns. So people working at the family have probably a higher likelihood to work in a startup after the family or before the family than to work in a bank, for instance.
That's for sure.
It's just a matter of likelihood. Not for sure, but it's a matter of likelihood. And if they're likely to work in a bank, there can be other patterns that explain that. So we are using all those patterns. And that's why the main, and that's connected to Mehdi's question, what's the long-term vision? The long-term vision is to build that intelligence that is able to detect those patterns. It's not only looking at the hard skills, but also looking at the companies, understanding the difference between the different companies, the mindset in each company, looking at the people profile. And then organization, a company is the sum of people that work for that company. So you're able to learn a lot about the company from the people that work in them.
There is Pedro asking, hello, do you think that the hiring process will become more international after COVID-19? Hire people from everywhere, remote work will impact it? Good question.
That's a good question.
I think
That's
so.
a good question.
We all learn to work remotely.
We all learn to work remotely. We all learn to work remotely. What we're seeing is that when a company is 100% remote, that's easy. We made the switch to remote at Hardsuite very easily because everybody's on the same schedule, same processes, etc. When there's only a part of the company that's remote, that's where it's very difficult. So I'd say there's surely a lot of companies will turn to remote, and it will be easier, and it will be easier to hire more international people. That's for sure. But again, that's also for sure that companies that do this have to make sure there's something in it for them, so they can get either better talent or more diversity, better ideas, more expertise. But yeah, surely.
All right.
And just to answer quickly Greg's questions, maybe the hardest software engineers today. So there's hardest and hardest. Hardest for companies. A lot of companies struggle hiring full stack software engineers with 2 to 4 years experience. The reason behind that is that it's a very generic position, and they don't want to be more specific on what they're looking for. And if they want to be more specific, like I want to have a front-end engineer with expertise building dashboards, that becomes easier. And the roles where a company really struggle is probably SREs, DevOps, and very technical stuff like security engineers, this kind of stuff. The more specific, the more struggle. And how long on the roadmap before you move to finance execs, marketing execs? Well, we already done that, and we did several hires on sales and marketing roles. So we are still early on that, but we have a lot of companies using us only for marketing roles and sales. So we're still communicating mainly on software engineers, but that will probably change in the next few months. And if you go to HireSuite.com, I'm not sure you'll see software engineers on the landing page. I think it's tech talent mostly.
All right. I think we are good. It's 1 p.m. already. You told me, Alice, I have to leave at 1 p.m. and I want to respect that. Cool. Thank you, everybody, for following us, for following this conversation. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Robin. Just to end on a good note, also on a chilling note, what kind of music do you play with your guitar?
Great question. I'm playing the basics: Oasis, Wonderwall, Green Day. Yeah, mainly rock. And what?
Wow. Okay.
You want me to play them at the next morning meeting?
I would love to. No, I will just put it on the. I will just put it as a music. This one. Huh?
Ah, nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.